Okay, let's dive right in. We all live our lives by the clock, right? The calendar. It basically runs everything, our jobs, when we sleep, you name it. But what if I told you that the whole system, the one that kicks off your day at the stroke of midnight, might be, well, a little out of sync with the universe? What if there's a totally different way to think about time? I mean, really think about it for a second. Our whole world, the entire global system, runs on this one clock. It's so deeply baked into our lives that we almost never stop to question it. But that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to explore this really cool idea that there are completely different and totally valid ways to measure time, and each one comes from a very different way of looking at the cosmos. So here's the game plan for this explainer. We're going to look at two completely different ways of telling time. First up, we've got the Western calendar system, then we'll switch gears to the Eastern system. After that, we'll get into something called the sound of unification, which sounds awesome, right? We'll see how these two calendars can find some harmony, and finally, we'll talk about why any of this really matters and what it means for how we think about our own time. All right, first up, the Western calendar system. This is all about a universe guided by the North Star. And this is the one most of us are familiar with, right? The Gregorian calendar. It's the backbone of our modern world, and its whole logic is pinned to this one single unmoving spot in the night sky. So the whole thing is really built on constants, on fixed points. The day is chopped up mechanically, and it always starts at midnight. And its main anchor isn't the sun, which moves, but the super steady North Star, Polaris. That gives us this kind of north-south orientation to the cosmos, and it uses what's called a moving zodiac wheel. Now, all that means is that it accounts for the Earth's slow wobble on its axis, something scientists call precession. It's a calendar that tries to stay perfectly aligned over huge stretches of time. And here's something really interesting about this system. It puts a big emphasis on midday, on 12 p.m. Why? Well, it's believed that high noon is when we are directly under a special 28th constellation called Hajit. So that mechanical halfway point in our day, it's giving this really special cosmic significance. Okay, now let's do a complete 180 and look at the Eastern calendar system. This is a cosmos based on the sun. We're talking about the Bikrami calendar here, which is a huge part of Eastern timekeeping. And it's not based on some far-off distant star. Nope, it's based on the most powerful, most immediate thing in our solar system, our sun. And right away, you can see it's a completely different philosophy. In this system, the day doesn't start at midnight, it starts at your local sunrise, with the first light. And that means time isn't this constant, rigid tick-tock, tick-tock. It's more like a living, breathing thing. It stretches in the summer and shrinks in the winter. Its whole map is oriented east to west, just like the sun's path. And it uses a static zodiac wheel with 27 constellations. Static just means it doesn't try to correct for that long-term wobble of the Earth. It's fixed to the stars as we see them. So a really key idea here is that time is seen as cyclical, not just a straight line moving forward. The whole year is broken down into 4 distinct quadrants. You can think of them just like the 4 seasons, where each part of the cycle has its own unique feeling, its own cosmic energy. When you put them side by side like this, the differences just pop. You've got the Western system, which is all mechanical and constant, anchored to that fixed pole star. And then you have the Eastern system, which is totally natural and flexible, flowing with the daily journey of the sun. It's almost like the difference between a machine's time and a living thing's time. So we've got these two totally different systems, right? One's static, one's moving. One is north-south, the other is east-west. They seem like complete opposites, so how on earth could you ever bring them together? Well, the theory we're digging into proposes this incredible bridge, and it's called Cymatics. Okay, so what in the world is cymatics? Well, basically, it's the study of making sound visible. Picture this. You sprinkle some sand on a metal plate, and then you play a sound frequency through that plate. What happens? The sand doesn't just jiggle around. It organizes itself into these absolutely stunning, intricate geometric patterns. That's cymatics in a nutshell. It's this idea that sound and vibration are these deep, fundamental forces that literally shape our reality. And this is where it gets really mind-bending. The proposal says, what if we could apply that same principle, that organizing power of sound, to the cosmos itself? The idea is that cymatics can act as this third, dynamic element. It's not about picking one calendar over the other. It's about finding a kind of vibrational harmony that brings both the static and the moving zodiacs together into something new, a dynamic zodiac wheel. I know, this all sounds pretty abstract. So, how would this unification actually work in practice? Well, the theory gives us this really beautiful visual to help wrap our heads around it, the analogy of the flower and the stem. So, let's start with the flower part. Imagine that four-quadrant eastern system we talked about, the one that's all about natural cyclical phases. Think of those four quadrants as the beautiful unfolding petals of a flower. Each one is a different part of nature's cycle. And this is how it all comes together. You have those four quadrants from the Eastern, sun-based calendar making up the petals of the flower. But the Western, midnight-based system doesn't just get tossed aside. No way. It becomes the fifth element, the central stem. And this stem, which is infused with those balancing principles of cymatics, is what supports all the petals, holding them together and giving the whole thing structure. So the whole point here, and this is really important, is not to replace one system with another. It's about creating something richer, a model of time that combines the natural with the mechanical. The theory has a pretty cool name for this, omnidirectional time density. And what that really means is you get a more complete, more balanced view of time, one that considers cosmic forces from all directions, not just north-south or east-west. Okay, I get it. This is some pretty deep philosophical stuff. But it all leads to a really simple and important question. Why should any of us care? How does this affect our actual day-to-day lives? Well, it matters, because our calendar isn't just a tool for scheduling appointments. It's like the invisible operating system running in the background of our entire lives. Think about it. A society that starts its day at an arbitrary mechanical midnight is going to feel fundamentally different from a society that wakes up and starts its day with the rising sun. It literally shapes everything, from how we work to how connected we feel to the natural world around us. So looking at these different models isn't just a history lesson. It's really about questioning our own relationship with time and with the universe itself. And it leaves us with this one big thought to chew on. What would actually change if our world could find a way to harmonize the rigid mechanical structure of the clock with the living, breathing rhythm of the sun? I mean, what would a life that's synchronized to both of those things, what would that even feel like?